We might get started. So thank you all for coming out on a long weekend Monday night. We're quite organised when we thought about that one. Just a little housekeeping to start off with. Anyone that's not familiar with the centre, the bathrooms are just through here. And obviously in the event of a fire alarm going off, which it's not going to do, obviously the closest exit's just straight out the front and marshalling out to the area. On behalf of Molong Health One and Molong Men's Shed, I'd like to welcome Rob Thompson, who's come down from Tamworth.
Thank you very
who
much.
works at the Blackdog Institute, so I'm going to leave you in his hands.
Thank you. Good evening everybody and welcome, and thank you for coming along on a Monday holiday. It's definitely been a cold weekend, but we've had beautiful weather today and I really appreciate you for coming this evening. We'll get into it. Today's presentation is called Breaking Down Depression and Building Resilience. In this session will go for approximately 1 hour, so I hope you don't get too bored in that hour. At any given point, feel free, if there's something that you don't quite understand at any given point, feel free just to put your hand up and I'll try to address it at that time. If not, at the end of tonight's discussion, I'll try and address it further for you. The name Blackdog Institute comes from the metaphor used by Winston Churchill during the Second World War to describe his own depression. His famous V for victory salute is a symbol that depression can be overcome. In the Institute's logo, the victory sign casts the shadow of a black dog and provides a metaphor, this little fellow, for a disorder that is constantly lurking in the background, but that is positive and more powerful than the negative. Thank you. We know that spending time about mental illness can make people feel uncomfortable, but we'd like you to think about this presentation as a chance to become empowered. Understanding the reality of depression and bipolar disorder means you can be prepared. It means you know where to go for help, and most importantly, you know how to offer help. In the next hour, we will cover a little about the Blackdog Institute, features of depression and bipolar disorder, getting help, and finish by sharing some strategies for increasing well-being and resilience. The Blackdog Institute is a world leader in diagnosis, treatment and prevention of mood disorders such as depression and bipolar disorder. Founded in 2002, the Institute combines expertise in clinical management with cutting-edge research. While research is a key focus of the Blackdog Institute, there is also a real emphasis on teaching people to recognise the symptoms of mood disorders in themselves and others, as well as providing tools to keep depression at bay. This focus on education is why we're here today and why I make the effort to come and see you all in lovely Molong. A little bit about myself. Back in 2009, I had quite a major breakdown with a depressive episode in July 2009. For just on approximately a month, I was bedridden, couldn't go to work, and was a total mess. Subsequently, I was diagnosed by the Blackdog Institute on what they call melancholic depression, which means that I basically have the serotonin which monitors your mood. The levels of serotonin in my brain isn't being produced, so I'm constantly on medication at the moment, which I will be probably for the rest of my adult life to get me through day-to-day situation. Subsequently, I also befriended a gentleman by the name of Steve Andrews, who is the founder of what they call Blackdog Ride in Western Australia. It's a yearly ride where we ride from every capital city throughout Australia and its capital territories and over 5 nights ride to Alice Springs raising awareness of depression, basically what we're doing here tonight. Being touched by depression myself, I'm very, very passionate about why I'm here this evening. Depression doesn't necessarily just affect males, it affects all of us. Generally 1 in 5 or 1 in 7 people will suffer depression over a lifetime. And that's just the figure that we get from people that admit that they've got the condition. So it's very, very predominant. In addition, we also have some high-profile supporters, and we're grateful for their willingness to speak publicly about their situation. Their contribution goes a long way in raising awareness and contributing to reducing the destructive consequences of stigma. Many of our ambassadors come on board to promote the benefits of regular exercise for improving mental health. Pictured above, clockwise from left, Parramatta Eels Nathan and Ben Smith, Michelle Bridges, celebrity personal trainer, Andrea Johns, rugby league legend, our patron, Her Excellency Professor Marie Bashir, the first woman appointed as Governor of New South Wales, Jeff Hugel, Olympic gold medalist, Ed Thurnon, Olympic pentathlete, Kai Hurst, Ironman and Olympic swimmer, and Richard Harry, former world-winning Wallaby and now captain of the Silver Foxes rugby team. Why understand mood disorders? Depression is prevalent. 1 in 7 Australians will experience depression in their lifetime. So that in itself means that most of us here tonight will at some point meet someone or have some member of our family suffer from depression. The number is slightly higher in women, with depression affecting 1 in 6. That's 17% of the population, compared to 1 in 10% men experience depression in their lifetime. Bipolar disorder also affects 1 in 33 Australians in their lifetime. However, prevalence of bipolar disorder is probably higher than the statistics show, as many cases are often undetected and misdiagnosed. Currently, the Blackdog Institute, just to fill in why that is the case, is everyone would be fairly familiar with children that are diagnosed with attention deficit disorder or ADHD. Currently in the federal laws, there is some situation where there's approximately, well, the adult mind doesn't actually fully develop until approximately the age of 17 or 18 years of age. When children are diagnosed early on in preschool or early high school with having ADHD or ADD, there's a significant gap between diagnosis of those conditions and bipolar disorder. So that's why we find that many people aren't actually diagnosed until late in their late teens or early adulthood for bipolar disorder. As I just mentioned, depression is very common. 1 in 7 people will personally experience depression. However, the people in their lives, parents, partners, children, friends, co-workers and carers, are also likely to be significantly impacted by their illness. Depression and bipolar disorder significantly impact the quality of life of those affected and the lives of those around them. According to the World Health Organization, depression is the leading cause of disability worldwide. Just to touch base on that, the World Health Organization currently predict by 2019 that depression and mental health will be the #1 debilitating illness worldwide. So it's on the increase and it will be a significant problem in the next few years. In addition, depression is the #1 cause of non-fatal disability in Australia. That's over and above road deaths. These 2 points, along with the previous slide, illustrate the recognised impact depression has on people's lives. Tragically, we also know that suicide is a risk when we're dealing with mood disorders. While this is quite a confronting slide, it is important to talk about suicide in the context of the illness. Suicide is the leading cause of death for people aged between 15 and 44. In Australia, we lose more people to suicide than on the roads, yet the level of awareness and information in the community about mood disorders and risk of suicide is far behind what we deliver on driving safely. That is why it is so important for people to understand that suicidal thoughts are a symptom of the illness of depression. We need to stop the silence that is too often surrounds this topic and prevents people from seeking help. On a yearly basis for the last 4 years, I've been what they call a black dog rider. For those of you that aren't familiar, a fellow by the name of Steve Andrews that lives in Western Australia, back in the same year that I suffered my breakdown in 2009, rode by himself individually around the outskirts of Australia to raise awareness of depression. Steve some years ago lost his mother to suicide, and subsequently he was unaware that she'd suffered from depression for quite a few years. Not long after finding that his mother had committed suicide, he had a good friend's business partner's wife also commit suicide. So Steve basically said, enough's enough, something's got to be done about this situation. Subsequently, he confronted, at the time, Beyond Blue, which was a government-run organisation, and Beyond Blue said to him, Steve, it's too high a risk, we don't want to know. He then heard about the Blackdog Institute in Sydney, and they said, look, we will give you full backing. Steve found that he had so much success in people in rural and remote communities wanting